South Florida real estate activity is still rocking, still reaping some of the benefits of the pandemic with people going south. It's amazing what's happened down there over the last year. The market was already strong, but it really got stronger since the pandemic. And one of the things that we're noticing is condo sales are coming back with a vengeance. I mean, especially down in Miami-Dade County, things had slowed down last summer. Following the pandemic, people didn't want shared living, but it is back. We're also seeing a huge uptick in luxury sales, and that's from people moving down there permanently from up north and from people buying larger second homes. There's been a lot of talk about that. I'm Anthony Lamacchia, broker owner of Lamacchia Realty, and we are excited to be in South Florida. I was down there visiting last week, both in Fort Lauderdale and in Miami, and it was great to talk to our realtors firsthand, see what's going on in the market, see some properties, and it's exciting to see how strong the market is and how well it's, I don't want to say holding up, it's doing more than holding up, it's exceeding expectations. As I mentioned in my opening, we are seeing strong activity. There's still a run on single families, and we're seeing that across North America, all over the Northeast. Really all over the country, up into Canada, we are seeing strong single-family activity, and the same is holding true down in Florida. But what's interesting and what is noticeable is pretty much around the same time that we saw an improvement in condos up here, we saw it in Florida, but in Florida, it's moving faster. The condo market is coming out of the, I would call it, mini slump that it experienced last summer and last spring and even early last fall. Down in Florida, where people were more going to single family homes. That has burnt off and people are fine with buying condos. We're also seeing, and I have to give credit where it's due, the South Florida Business Journal, which by the way is fantastic. I read it every day. They picked up on that too, and they did a story last week about how developers are realizing people don't want smaller condos, they want larger condos. So there is definitely an uptick in condos. Over the activity picked up 3-4 months ago, and now we're seeing it in sales. And I'm going to show you when I go over the February housing report that we just completed. Luxury sales have also increased. The average sale prices have gone up dramatically, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit of detail. I don't want the average person with the average home thinking that their home went up 70% in the last 12 months. It doesn't work quite like that. This is a month-over-month comparison, February of 21 to February of 19. So why don't I jump in? I'm going to pull the report up here and talk to you all about it. And you can see that when we zero in here on Broward County, single families in Broward County closed sales up 23% in February compared to February of 20. Now keep in mind, February of 20 was pre-pandemic. So the acceleration in the market is definitely happening, and it's even beating pre-pandemic levels. Average sale price up 16%. That is a legitimate average. I don't really think that's skewed. Yes, there's some larger homes selling a bit more, but home sales are up and the average prices are up. Newly listed homes up 2%. So homes listed is starting to return. I will tell you that's better than we're seeing up here in the Northeast. I know there's a lot of people with a good amount of interest in the Northeast, down in Florida, and that own homes here. I think last statistic I heard, it was about 41% of the inventory of the homeowners down there in Florida are from the Northeast. So I always like to educate a little bit. But look at these condo stats in Broward County. Closed sales, that means the amount of sales up 25%, price up 21%, listed down 3%. So listeds are still struggling to come back with condos. Pending sales up 25. Now remember, that's the best indicator of what's to come, okay, with sales. So really all indications here for Broward County, things are strong, no doubt about it. Let's see here. I'm going to go down and take a look at Miami-Dade County. Similar numbers, closed sales up 23%. That's almost identical to Broward, or it is. Average price 81. This one, I want to caution people a bit. I don't want the average homeowner to get confused and think that their home price has gone up 81% in the last, call it 12 months since February of 20. That isn't the case. That's because there are a lot more luxury properties selling, and that's skewing the average. But still good news that things are obviously on the way up down there, or I should say here in Florida, even though I'm not sitting there at this moment. I was there 7 days ago for half the week. Newly listed properties in Miami-Dade County down 4.8%. So still less properties being listed than a year ago with single families, and then pendings up 16%. What really caught my eye, I have to jump to it, look at the pendings for condos in Miami-Dade County. It is coming back, folks. For those of you that were even realtors, I know there's some realtors watching, Miami-Dade, particularly with condos, they took a hit last year, spring and summer, and especially with the lack of foreign buyers, pendings are up 62%. That means your sales are going to be screaming in the months to come. And look at closed sales, up 42%. I mean, things are back to being on fire there. Average price 62. I already explained that. Now, Palm Beach County, I want to talk about the county as a whole. I thought this was interesting. Single families down 1.8%, but didn't shock me. Here's why. Look at new listed properties down 13%. In January, if you remember correctly, they were down 13% as well. I'm quite sure of that. I'm going to go peek here. Let's go into housing reports and see if my memory serves me correctly. Let's look at the January housing report. I believe homes listed in Palm Beach County was down. Let's see that? Down in January, and it was also down in December. So that is why when homes listed continue to be down month after month, eventually it's going to have an impact on total sales. And that's what happened in Palm Beach County. More people have pulled their necks in this winter and not been able to list, which actually surprising is similar to what we're seeing across the whole Northeast, especially in Massachusetts with the snow in late January and February, had a real impact on homes listed. So I wanted to just point that out so that everyone is totally clear on that, to have a good understanding of what's going on. But look at pending sales. They're up for condos. They're up for pending. So I wouldn't be surprised that closed sales for single families in Palm Beach County are only up 5.5%. That's not shocking. Now, what's ahead? Very much like the rest of the country, I'll read this. Fewer homes are being listed year over year. Again, that wasn't totally true in each county, but we're seeing that as a whole, and we know we are about to hit that in the months to come. So we know that that's something we're going to have to deal with. With inventory becoming tighter and scarcer, it's driving prices up. Now, let me clarify that for just a second here. I want to jump back so that you can see me for a minute. In the weeks and months to come, we are going to, you notice how I kept saying, listen, February is the last month of where we can look at pre-pandemic levels. Well, when we get into March, the last half of March last year was severely impacted by the pandemic, okay? And that made people pull their necks in and not be willing to sell. That made pending sales fall through. It made sales that were, about to close fall through, pendings. So that's something that we saw last year. So when we get into March, I do expect home sales to be up in March. But like I said, with Palm Beach, you can see it's not up as much. That's still not bad. It's just that less people listed. Look at the amount of listed properties in Palm Beach, West Palm, etc. Less people listing. That's what's happening there. But these prices, these are all the percentages. But let's jump through and talk about numbers for a minute together, okay? Let me go back here and make it bigger so you can all see it. I'm going to jump back in. Now, take a look at this. Prices for single families increased 22%, moving from $491 to $599. Now, does that mean every single person's single family went up 22% in the last year? Most of them did. Most of them did. This Broward is not as impacted with crazy amounts of luxury as Miami-Dade. So you can pretty much bet that your single family in the last year has gone up somewhere between 15 and 20%. This is 22. Again, it's February of 21 to February of 20. Now, go down here and we look at, no, I want to stay here. Condos, townhouses, prices increased as well by 13%. 275 up from 242. So definitely an improvement there. Now look at Miami-Dade. This is where the numbers get very interesting. Okay, let me read this and find the numbers that I'm looking for. Miami-Dade sales increased, average prices increased 70% and 32%. The giant leap in prices for single families is due to the high-end luxury. You know what I just noticed? We do not have the dollar amounts of the average price in there. Our mistake. We will get that in there by day's end, probably knowing our marketing team by the time I'm done talking. We will plug that in. We will also post it in the comments. Now I go down to Palm Beach County. Average price for a single family is now averaging $849, up from $609, and then condos $388, up from $332. So very healthy, strong, and really somewhat frustrating. If you're a buyer, it's like, what is going on? It's very interesting what's happening. Nick, thank you. You have a question, please type it in. Raymond, your question is, are prices going up in Florida with it being a fully open state? You know what? I think that's having an impact, Raymond. You know, there's some things, and I need to say this without being political at all. I have no political bias whatsoever when I have my real estate cap on. Florida being a income tax-free state and being fully open is helping. COVID is having an impact. Up north, states are much more restrictive, and in some cases, rightfully so. I mean, I've been to Florida 4 times in the last 4 months, and I've had dinner outside, breakfast outside, no matter what month I was there. You cannot do that up north. You cannot. If you tried to eat breakfast outside in the month of January in New England, you would have icicles hanging from your nostrils. So it's understandable to have some stricter rules, but there is no doubt in my mind that Florida being an open state is helping, and that's why so many people are going there. I mean, you could say, well, lots of spring breakers go every year. Hey, friends, the amount of spring breakers there last week in Miami was crazy. And it wasn't just spring breakers per se, you know, late teenagers, early 20s. It was tons of people. I was at the Fontainebleau, and only about 30% of the crowd was spring breakers. The rest of it was people from all over the country. But I did notice a lack of foreign visitors, and that's something that I want to talk to you all about. So I see Harold here saying, when do you think the bubble will burst? Harold, I don't see a bubble in the next 24 months. I always say it's difficult for me to see beyond 24 months, but inventory levels up here in the Northeast, I bet my whole company, my whole career, there's no bubble in the next 2 years. I wouldn't tell you that I feel as strongly in Florida. Could things settle a little? Yes. Do I think prices are going to go down in the next 2 years in Florida? Absolutely not. Here's why. Though there's still been some foreign buyers, there are less foreign buyers in the last year since the pandemic. Imagine when all the foreign buyers come back. So all of this that's going on has been because of everybody up north running south. However, up north minus Canadians, the border is still closed. It recently got extended, and once again, Lindsay just told me she looked and it's extended until April 21st. I have heard rumors from no good sources, but I've heard rumors it's going to get extended further. So imagine when Canada opens the border again and Canadians can fly south. I just talked to one of our agents who has 5 listings right now down there, Lisa Jones, and I believe 4 of them, at least her active listings, are Canadians selling. So we've actually seen an uptick in Canadians saying, I'll sell. I can't go down there, I'll sell. Now that will burn off. So that will decrease that inventory. Then you're going to have an influx of Canadians coming back. You're going to have a big increase in South Americans. Now I know, you look at Brazil, Argentina, Chile, even Venezuela. There are a lot of people down there that are coming into South Florida, even, Miami-Dade County up into Broward. They've backed off in the last year. They're coming back. So I don't really see how there is any bubble here. I just don't see it. And I think that when you see a larger influx of people coming in, that you're going to see as things lift and the vaccine comes into play, market's in good shape and it's going to stay strong. What we saw was a increase in people who had plans of buying down south in Florida. Increase. Anyone who planned to do it in the next 2 to 3 years sped up their plan. So that'll back off a little bit, but then you're going to get the foreign buyers coming back into the market. So I don't see a bubble. I do believe that having the market open is helping. Lisa brings up a good point, and I talked about this in some training with our agents 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to talk about this on Tuesday when I do a complete market update for up here in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Sellers are still nervous. We are seeing sellers much worse up here, but we're seeing it in Florida too. Sellers that are like, yeah, I want to sell, but where am I going to go? I can't find the home I want. And my message to sellers that are listening down in South Florida is you've got to put some trust into your realtors. Our realtors in particular are trained to deal with this kind of thing, and they deal with it all the time. We call it sell buys. They are going to contractually protect you. They are going to get you access to properties before they're listed. We have a Lamacchia Links database where we put all our buyer leads and all our seller leads into it, and we see if there's any matches. We're often able to sell properties before we're listed. We've only been open in your market 6 months ourselves. Okay, we've been referring business there for years. Florida's been by far our largest outgoing referral state. But we've been doing business there 6 months. We're already having matches. We're having our realtors that are saying, hey, I've got a property, and they're putting it in the system, right? The Lamacchia Link system. And all of a sudden, other realtors in our company say, I got a seller, I have a buyer, and they're matching things up. So our realtors are going to help you get access to properties before they're listed. Not every property, I'm not going to oversell you here, but they're going to help you get access to properties before they're listed. They're also going to help you in some cases sell your property without even needing to list. We're proponents of selling on the open market. We're believers that in most cases the property will sell for more money on the open market. However, some of you sellers would love to sell without listing. One of the ways that we do that is you give our realtors a call. I'm on television down there on Channel 7 on SVN. I'm running ads talking about the amazing amount of New England buyers that we're constantly sending down to our realtors in Florida, right? And we might be able to find a match for you, and perhaps you won't have to list. Perhaps we could line up a buyer, then you could work with one of our realtors and find another property. That's possible. So think about all those things. That it concludes my real estate update on what's going on in the market. I mean, clearly prices are up, sales are up, and things are happening. Lisa's talking about how she's got 3 off-market transactions going on right now. Manuel is talking about how there is, it looks like he's trying to say, he says 0.6 months of supply in Cape Coral, 0.8 in Fort Myers. So that's Southwest Florida, obviously. I was actually talking with a great broker in Southwest Florida recently. We do plan to open there, probably within a couple of years. I believe Manuel means less than a month's supply. I don't think he means a 6-month supply. That would be too much for what's going on right now. But there is a tremendous amount of demand into the market. So if you are thinking of buying, you are thinking of selling, give us a call. 855-510-SOLD. Thank you, my friends. We love being in Florida. I can't wait to be back soon.